Did you ever promise yourself that this time would be different? That you'd wake up early, exercise, eat right, study every day? And then, 3 weeks later, you're back to square one, eating pizza on the couch at 2 a.m., wondering where you went wrong again? Welcome to the Anti-Coach Social Club, where we admit we're all chimps trying to pretend to be productivity robots. And you know what I discovered after studying human behavior and failing miserably in dozens of attempts to become a new person? The problem isn't that you're weak, lazy, or lacking willpower. The problem is no one told you the truth about how discipline actually works. They sold you a beautiful lie, packaged in motivational phrases and impossible morning routines. And while you blame yourself for not being able to maintain the pace, there's a very simple scientific explanation for all of this. Today I'm going to show you exactly why your discipline keeps falling apart, and more importantly, what to do about it. Because, spoiler alert, the solution isn't more willpower. In fact, it's the opposite. Get ready to discover why you've been failing so much and how to finally break this cycle. The answer will surprise you. The myth of the perfect chimpanzee. Let me tell you a story that will sound familiar. John decides that Monday will be the day of his great transformation. He will wake up at 5 in the morning, meditate for 30 minutes, exercise for an hour, drink a green smoothie, work for 8 hours with laser-like focus, read for an hour, and sleep at 10. The perfect plan for the perfect human. Monday, you manage to wake up at 5:15, skip meditation because you're late, do 20 minutes of exercise, drink regular coffee because you forgot to buy kale, but it's okay. Tomorrow will be better. Tuesday, you wake up at 6, do 10 minutes of exercise, eat fast food because you were in a rush. Wednesday, you wake up at 7:30, skip exercise, feel like a complete failure, and give up. Recognize this pattern? You're not alone. 92% of people abandon their New Year's resolutions by March. And it's not for lack of initial motivation. Everyone starts out super excited. The problem is what I call perfect chimp syndrome. You see, we are evolutionarily programmed to be adaptable chimpanzees, not programmed robots. Chimpanzees are intelligent creatures, but they are also flexible, unpredictable, and responsive to their environment. When you try to transform yourself into a discipline robot, you're fighting against millions of years of evolution. The big secret productivity gurus don't tell you is that perfect discipline doesn't exist. It never has. Even Tibetan monks have bad days. Even Olympic athletes skip workouts sometimes. The difference is, they don't abandon everything just because they had an imperfect day. The problem isn't that you fail. The problem is that you think failing means you're a failure. When you accept that being an imperfect chimp is normal, healthy, and even necessary, something magical happens. You stop using your failures as an excuse to give up. Real discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being consistent even when imperfect. It's coming back the next day, even after eating 3 slices of pizza the night before. It's doing something even if it's not everything. Because in the end, a consistent chimp will always beat a robot that breaks at the first obstacle. Your brain is a lazy chimp, and that's normal. Now I'm going to tell you something that will completely change how you view your discipline failures. Your brain has 2 main parts working in constant conflict. There's the prefrontal cortex, which is like that super organized friend who makes colorful lists and plans everything. And there's the limbic system, which is basically a 3-year-old chimpanzee that craves bananas, Netflix, and sleeping in. Guess who wins most of the time? Exactly. The chimpanzee. And it's not because you're weak, it's because the chimpanzee consumes much less energy. Your brain is a survival machine, not a productivity machine. It's programmed to conserve energy at all costs, because 10,000 years ago, wasting energy could have meant starvation. When you wake up in the morning and think, I'm going to exercise, your rational brain agrees. It makes perfect sense. Exercise is good, you know that. But then your inner chimp wakes up and says, wait a minute, exercise hurts, it's tiring, and the bed is warm. What if a lion shows up today and you have to run? Better to conserve energy, right? Obviously, no lions will show up. But your inner chimpanzee doesn't know that. It still thinks we're on the African savanna, struggling to survive. So every time you try to do something that requires extra effort, it switches to energy-saving mode and fills you with creative excuses. The interesting thing is that willpower is like a cell phone battery. It drains throughout the day. You wake up with 100% discipline, but every decision you make drains a little. Choosing what to wear, -2%. Resisting the sweet treat at breakfast, -5%. By the end of the day, your willpower is in the red, and any temptation easily wins. The good news? Once you understand that your brain is a lazy chimp by design, you stop fighting it and start working with it. Instead of trying to be a disciplined robot, you become a chimp tamer. And chimp tamers know that the secret isn't brute force, it's smart strategy. The YouTube motivation trap. Let's talk about one of the biggest pitfalls of the digital age: addiction to motivational content. You know the kind. Those videos with titles like "How I Wake Up at 4:30 Every Day" or "The Routine That Changed My Life." You watch it, get super inspired, make 3 radical decisions about your life, and the next day, you're still exactly the same person. I call this motivation consumer syndrome. It's when you replace real action with consuming action-based content. It's like watching videos of people working out and thinking it burns calories. It sounds obvious when I say it like that, but that's exactly what we do with personal development. The problem is that watching motivational content triggers the same chemicals in your brain as doing the real thing. Your brain releases dopamine when you watch someone talk about how they woke up at 5 a.m. for a whole year. You feel productive, inspired, like you're actually doing something. But you're not. Even worse, there's an entire industry selling discipline as a product. Gurus who've never worked in a normal company sell impossible routines to people with kids, annoying bosses, and bills to pay. They show the end result of years of work and make it seem like they got there by following a list of 5 simple steps. The truth they don't tell you? Most of these people were lucky, privileged, or faced years of failure before discovering the secret. But failure doesn't sell courses. So they sell the illusion that there's a magic formula, a definitive hack, a secret routine that will solve all your problems. And while you keep consuming more and more content, searching for the perfect answer, your real life remains at a standstill. Because deep down, you know it's not about finding the perfect system. It's about implementing an imperfect system and improving it along the way. The antidote to this trap is simple, but not easy. Stop consuming and start experimenting. Take any half-decent advice, test it for 2 weeks, see what works, adjust what doesn't, and keep going. Stop searching for the perfect answer. The perfect answer is the one you actually use, not the one that sounds best on paper. The Smart Chimp Method. Microscopic discipline. Now we come to the part that really matters: how to work with your chimpanzee nature instead of fighting it. And the answer is so simple it'll seem ridiculous. Start absurdly small. When I say small, I mean 1 push-up a day, 1 paragraph of reading, 2 minutes of meditation. Small enough for your inner chimp to think, "Oh, that's a piece of cake," instead of panicking and making excuses. Most people fail because they try to change everything at once. It's like trying to teach a chimpanzee to drive by starting with Formula 1. It won't work. But if you start with a tricycle, then a bicycle, then an automatic car, eventually he'll even learn to drive a manual car. The secret is what I call microscopic discipline. Instead of trying to create a 2-hour exercise routine, you start by doing 5 push-ups a day. Every day, 5 push-ups. Sound ridiculous? Great. That's exactly what we want. Your inner chimp will think, "This is so easy, even I can do it," and you won't be able to resist. After 2 weeks of doing 5 push-ups without missing a day, you can increase to 10. After another 2 weeks, 15. In 6 months, you're doing 100 push-ups a day, and you don't even realize how you got there. And most importantly, you've established the identity of a person who exercises every day. The key is to focus on the system, not the outcome. It's not about how many push-ups you do. It's about becoming the kind of person who exercises consistently. Once you prove to yourself that you can stick to a simple routine, your brain starts to believe you're disciplined. Another key hack: eliminate unnecessary decisions. Decisions waste willpower. So instead of waking up every day and deciding whether to exercise, you schedule that at 7 in the morning you'll do push-ups, period. It's not a decision, it's an automatic process, like brushing your teeth. And when you fail, because you will, the rule is simple: never miss 2 days in a row. Failed today? No problem. You're a chimpanzee, it was expected, but you'll be back tomorrow. Because the difference between disciplined and undisciplined people isn't that the former never fail. It's that they fail better. When discipline becomes neurotic, and how not to freak out. Here's a truth no one tells you about discipline. It can become a destructive obsession. I've seen people who started out wanting to improve their lives and ended up like neurotic robots, measuring every minute, optimizing every breath, turning their existence into a productivity spreadsheet. There comes a point where discipline stops being a tool to improve your life and becomes a prison that controls your life. It's when you cancel your friend's birthday party because you're out of routine, when you feel guilty about sleeping in 15 minutes extra on a Sunday, when your self-esteem depends entirely on completing a to-do list. The paradox is that extreme discipline often leads to total collapse. It's like stretching a rubber band until it snaps. You endure being super strict for a while, but eventually you explode and go to the opposite extreme. You eat everything in sight, abandon all exercise, and become a complete mess. Healthy chimpanzees need flexibility. They need to play, rest, and be spontaneous at times. If you turn your life into a machine of military discipline, you're denying your fundamental nature. And when you deny your nature for too long, it always finds a way to get revenge. Healthy discipline allows for imperfection, for bad days, for changes in plans. It's more like a dance than a march. Sometimes you speed up, sometimes you slow down. Sometimes you improvise a different step. The important thing is to keep dancing. A fundamental rule I learned the hard way: never measure your worth as a person by your daily productivity. You are not more or less worthy of love, respect, or happiness based on how many tasks you cross off your list. You are a complex human being, not a performance robot. Real discipline includes the discipline of resting, the discipline of saying no, the discipline of not beating yourself up when things get out of control. Because life is chaotic, unpredictable, and if your discipline can't handle the chaos, it's too fragile to be useful. The goal isn't to become a perfect robot. It's to become a chimpanzee who can do difficult things when necessary, but who also knows when it's time to relax, have fun, and simply exist. Discipline is a means to a better life, not an end in itself. So, after all this, what's the truth about discipline that no one wants to tell you? It's simple. You can't maintain discipline because you're trying to be something you are not. You're trying to be a robot when in fact you're an intelligent, adaptable, and imperfect chimpanzee. The good news is that chimpanzees can learn amazing tricks when you stop fighting them and start working with them. You don't need more willpower. You need more strategy. You don't need more motivation. You need better systems. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Stop beating yourself up for being human. Accept that you'll fail sometimes. That some days you'll want pizza instead of salad. That sometimes you'll prefer sleeping in rather than waking up early. This doesn't make you weak. It makes you normal. The secret isn't to eliminate your imperfections. It's to build a good life even with them. It's to create systems so simple that even your worst day can't knock them down. It's to become the kind of person who bounces back after failure, not the kind who never fails. Remember, discipline isn't about punishing your inner chimp. It's about training it with patience, strategy, and a little humor. Because ultimately, a well-trained chimp is far more powerful than a broken robot. So, what part of your perfect discipline are you ready to abandon? Tell us in the comments what insight impacted you the most, and subscribe to the channel for more inconvenient truths about personal development. Until next time, you magnificent chimps.